Good afternoon, happy stampers. Welcome to my stamping studio. This is Judy Anderson from judystamps.com, and today we're going to be making an Easter card using the Blessed Beginning stamp set. This is a stamp set that was just released, and I think it is gorgeous. You can use it for weddings, for Easter, for baptisms. It's a set of 10 stamps, and I love this church. So we're going to be doing some watercoloring today. How many of you love watercoloring? Let me know in the comments. Be sure you say hi as you come in. Hello, everybody. Yeah, so I have grabbed a piece of designer series paper that's found in the Florals in Bloom designer series pack. And you're not going to see much of it, but I loved the colors in here, the softness and stuff, and it goes so good with the soft seafoam cardstock. So we're going to use that for a layer. We have a layer for the inside of our card and a mat, and then the piece that we're going to be stamping on. So we're going to begin with this piece here, and we are going to grab the church because I just love this church. We're going to make stained glass windows on this church. This is just going to be one of those cards that you are going to love. And it is a card that you can change out just by changing the sentiment out. I'll put this on here. And I am hoping that my Easter blessings is going to fit on here. And it's going to be a tight fit. I realize that. But I really didn't want this mat any larger. So I am placing it all on the piece of cardstock like I want it to stamp. And I am just, so we can move this up a little bit. Awesome. So we're going to stamp that up a little bit. And this will fit here. So I am going to pick up my Easter blessings first. So I'm going to hold my stamp down, my church stamp. I'm going to line this up here because I don't want to stamp it all in the black. I want to stamp the sentiment actually in two different colors. So we've got that. And now I did move the church a little bit. So just let me move it. I know it's like placed near the very bottom and centered. Grab this larger block and I'm going to line up the top and the side so I know when I stamp it, it will be straight. It's a little tip I've given you guys several times. Make sure that's good on there. Okay, so I know I want to line up the top edge and this right edge. Welcome in, everybody. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you guys know I stream to both at the same time every Tuesday at noon. Okay, now I have not used this stamp yet, so I am going to stamp off here on my grid paper. And I can already see that I didn't get a very good inking in the center. So I'm actually going to take this and pat it on my stamp. So when I notice that with stamps, I will turn it upside down and ink it up with the pad to the stamp. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to clean this before I stamp it again. Did you notice how sticky that was? We're using StazOn ink because we're watercoloring. So I want to clean that ink off really good. And when I go to put it away, I'm actually going to spritz it with some of our stamp cleaner because the StazOn ink has a reaction with the photopolymer stamps and it makes them tacky. And so I want to make sure I get all the ink off of there. Okay, I'm just going to dry that with my hand. It's going to be dry enough. Okay, let's ink it up again. Get it good on here. I think this pad might be a little bit dry. Let's get it. I'm going to turn it around and make sure I get that good and inked. I haven't re-inked that stamp in a while, that pad. Okay, place this here, line up the right and the top so it is straight, and then push down. Very good. Now I don't have my foam mat underneath, which I should on this image, but I think I can get it by just pressing. Let me take my sweater off. I was cold when I came down here today, but now I'm a little bit warm. So I find that it's never too early to start your Easter cards. Okay, we're going to lift that up very carefully because we don't want to tear our paper. Okay, let's see. Oh dear. Okay, we go. Okay, that is good. Like I said, we're going to spritz that. Maybe I should have spritzed it with cleaner before. And we're going to clean that off. And I'm going to scrub it with my chamois. And that will get most of the ink off. I find because I can put pressure on my stamp, I like cleaning my photopolymer when I use the StazOn with my chamois to get that ink off, so it stops that reaction. Okay, you know what? I think we're going to have room for a little bush in the corner. So there is a little bush in here. So let me get this. I'm just going to add a little bit of interest in the corner there. How is everybody doing? How many of you are excited for daylight savings time this week? I sure am, you guys. I want it to be light longer, and I want it to be light sooner in the morning. Okay, see that? And you know what? We're going to put just a little bit of one over here too. Just a smidgen. We're stamping off the side. Once again, we want to clean that stamp really good, you guys. I think that's the best tip I can give you guys when you're using StazOn ink with your photopolymer stamps. And if I had inked that pad up, I should have checked it before I came on. I wouldn't have had quite the issue that I was having. Now, I am not going to stamp the sediment until we are done watercoloring, because I don't want, if I get any water on there, I don't want it to bleed. Okay, so I picked Strawberry Slush, Soft Sea Foam, Timid Tiger, and Pretty Peacock. Now, Pretty Peacock is a really dark color, so you guys need to be kind of careful when using that with watercoloring. So we're going to need less ink. And I'm going to open all my pads up. I need to squeeze the lid to get some of that ink in that lid to pick up. And it's very little ink, but that's going to be more than enough ink, you guys. Strawberry Slush, Timid Tiger. So I'm going to put them in the order that I'm going to use them. And our Soft Sea Foam. This Soft Sea Foam is a very light color, you guys, so you are going to need to use quite a bit of ink. Using our water painters, and I'm going to squeeze so that I get water up in that brush. Make sure you hold your hand underneath it. Work that water into that brush. Okay, you don't want any of those drips getting on your paper. Okay, I'm going to pick up some ink, and I'm going to start with these bushes. And just a little bit of color. And I'm going to go back into these bushes so I can add some depth and dimension to them with a little bit more of deeper color. Okay, now we're going to do our windows, and I am just going to dab a little bit of color in each window. And we're creating that stained glass look. I'm going to pick up a little bit more ink because, once again, this is the lighter color. So we want that color in there. I'm going to add it over here again. So before I move on, I'm going to pick up some ink and I'm going to add a little bit of color to our brushes. Okay, there is no rhyme or reason, you guys. Okay, we are going to make the roof. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do the roof in Pretty Peacock. Okay, now I'm going to go into my Timid Tiger. I squeezed a little bit of water out. I brushed it in my hand. You guys will notice that I kind of go like this with my hand. Hey, Karen, how are you, girl? How are you doing? I haven't seen you in like forever. Okay, now I want this color light and just a little bit in each window. Don't forget, we're just creating that stained glass look. And we've got 4 colors to put in there. You don't want to put too much color because you don't want it to look muddy in the end. Oh, that's good, Karen. So happy to hear. Okay, strawberry slush next. Got quite a bit of water there. So here we go. This is a deeper color. I want to keep this color a little bit away from that Timid Tiger. Okay, and the colors are going to look close in the windows because the color is actually washed out a little bit, but it'll give it a little bit of depth. Okay, clean my tip off, go into my Pretty Peacock. Now, Pretty Peacock is a greeny blue color. It's actually considered a green, but it's got quite a bit of blue in it. So we are going to just add that where we want in those stained glass windows. Okay, very light. I'm just dabbing the tip of my brush. So that is what we've got so far. Okay, so we're going to do the roof. Do you guys say roof or roof? Let me know in the comments. I always say roof, and people correct me and say roof. And it's like, no, I say roof. I kind of do a cross between the two. We are going to paint our bricks, the strawberry slush. And just lightly dab that on there. Leave some white spaces. Don't forget, we want to do have some highlights in here. I'm going to pick up a little bit more color because that kind of got washed out. We lost a little bit of the color. I should have done this on watercolor paper, and I just thought of that. But I'm just doing it on our basic white. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit more color because I want to add some shading. I want to add a little bit of color in the bottom here and right here along that staircase. That's going to create some depth. Maybe a little bit along the bottom. Okay, now we're going to do the roof of our church in the soft seafoam. So I'm loading that brush up and we are just going to wash over it. And you'll notice that the brush kind of spread out a little bit. That's okay. Okay, and you can see that this paper is absorbing that color right away. If you use watercolor paper, you're not going to get that. Now, the artist has put some shadowing in, so I'm going to do it a little bit darker there. And I know it should be a little bit darker over here where this part of the roof is in front. So I'm just going to run that color, get more color, along that edge. Okay, see how that's beginning to pop? Let's do over here a little bit more, and I'm going to just dab it down here. So just look at your images and decide where it needs to be a little bit darker. Okay, we're going to do this roof here. So I'm going to pick up that ink, spreading that brush out, and just go ahead and wash it up. Okay, now again, we've got some shadowing. So we're going to add some shadowing there. Picking up color and just placing it in that shadow. Okay, I am going to do the church doors. You could do it a brown. I'm going to do it in the Timid Tiger because I forgot to take a brown out and include it in my listing of supplies. So we're going to work with what we have. You know, this is going to show you guys, you can work with what you have. So we're just going to do a light wash of, and look at that. It actually looks like it's mahogany, you guys. It doesn't look real orange. It's just on the touch that you do with your inks. And so now we've got some shadowing. So we're going over those spots with a little bit more ink just to create that. Okay, we're going to make the stairs. I think we're going to make the stairs the strawberry slush. I'm going to wash that out a little bit. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pick up a little bit of the Timid Tiger. So we're just going to wash those on here. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit more strawberry and just run it in some areas. I'm just letting the brush do the work. People have a tendency of like coloring like this with it. Don't. Let the ink do the work and the brush. Just place your brush lightly on your paper. And you could do a sky on yours. I have chosen not to do a sky, but I'm going to pick up some of this soft sea foam, and I am going to make a little bit of grass down here. I want to ground my church. Okay, so we're going to ground that church by adding that bottom in and a little bit here. Okay, since I added that, I'm going to pick up some more green, which is our soft sea foam, and I am just going to do the bottom of these bushes just so that it separates it from that grass. Otherwise, they kind of seem to be melted in together and there's no separation. You'll notice I have a little bit of spacing also between my grass. So there is a church. That's all I'm doing. I want this a simple, soft look, you guys. You could choose to do more detail on your church. The church can be, you know, is white. You know what? I'm going to show you. I am going to take our pretty peacock. Since we didn't use it anywhere else, I'm going to squeeze out some water. I'm going to make this real watery. Okay, see how much water is in that ink? And I am just going to wash some color. Now, if you had, if I had used watercolor paper, it wouldn't absorb so much into my paper. People often ask me, what's the difference? That's the difference. Your watercolor paper will let you move your ink a little bit more. But I like that. You know, I can go along the image a little bit and add a little bit more blue, but that just gives that look. Maybe, you know what I'll do? Next week, I will do the same exact card next week. Okay, you guys? But next week, we're going to use, I'll do this part the same, but I'll do a different layout. Okay? We are going to use watercolor paper so we see the difference between the two. I do want to do my sentiment. I do want to keep my sentiment soft. So I am going to do it in Strawberry Slush. And I don't know if I want to do it in the Timid Tiger. Oh, decisions, you guys. Okay, we're going to do it in the Strawberry Slush. And might as well do it in Timid Tiger. So Blessings is going to be done in the Strawberry Slush. Okay, so I'm inking that up. You're going to notice I got a little bit on the Easter. I'm going to wipe that off. I'm next going to pick up the color of Timid Tiger. And I'm going to avoid the blessings, inking that up. I'm going to huff to re-moisten that ink, and we're going to go the top and the right, and it should be placed where I placed it on my piece when I started. Look at that. Oh, that is perfect. Look at, I'm so excited. I just love it when things turn out like I plan. How about you guys? I always get I get nervous, especially when I come on and do it live, because it's like, okay, if anything's going to have a mishap, it's going to be when you're live. And we have worked through those blunders, haven't we? Okay, so I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal. Once again, I'm keeping this very simple. I am not adding any embellishments to this card, you guys. This is a simple card. You could add embellishments if you want. Okay, let's add this to our card front. Oops, ran out of Stampin' Seal. Grab the liquid glue. It never fails. Okay, here we go. And I might do it with an embossed mat for this layer, just to change things up a little bit. And I may add some embellishments next week. So you guys need to come back next week at noon on Tuesday to see what I do to change this card. But look how using those colors that are found in the Designer Series paper just make that pop. Isn't that a beautiful card, you guys? Give me love in the comments. Give me those hearts, you guys. Okay, so we've got the inside of the card. Let's just put a tree on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to grab, there's a tree here. And I like to personalize those insides. Let's take our stamps off of here. And we're going to stamp that tree and watercolor it. Okay, we're going to ink that up. Good inking right over here in this corner. Press and lift. Once again, be careful when you lift it from that paper, because you have that reaction with the StazOn ink. Okay, scrub it really good with your chamois. You can push on that. And see, even though it stays on, it's cleaned that stamp. Reds will stain your stamps, you guys, and there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, we're going to take, squeeze that lid, get some color up again. Now, you could use your Stampin' Blends to color this. You could use our blending pen and ink. We're just going to wash this over very lightly, because that's the look, spring look. Pick up some more ink, and in those areas where they have some detail, we're just going to add some detail to give some depth, and a little bit along the base of that. Let's clean off. I use my hand a lot, you guys. Okay, I'm going to take that pretty peacock again, and I'm going to do a little bit of a wash around the outside of that tree. I'm going to get a lot of water. We want lots of water. And just add enough ink. Too much water. That's okay. We can just go back in and go around it. And then that is just going to give you a little bit of a shadow behind that tree. Now, I don't put a sentiment on the inside. I like to personalize the inside of the cards to the person that I'm giving it to. So even though I may make this card several times, the inside of my card is where I do my personalization. This card, this is such a pretty set, you guys. It is available Okay, so that's the inside. We personalized that and the front. So I hope you guys enjoyed this card today, and I look forward to seeing you guys all again next week. So until we meet again, everybody, happy stamping!